Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Mindless Full. On this episode, I have the most beautiful Louisa McEleney. And it's so random, but definitely divinely guided. So I recorded an episode yesterday with a lovely lady. And afterwards, I was like, I'm definitely going to record one tomorrow, which is now today. And I had another lady who we were supposed to record one and it didn't suit. So I put it up on Instagram. And actually, the lady who I recorded with yesterday um, sent me a message and said, You need to speak to Louisa. And then I added Louisa. Louisa had got on to me, and here we are. So thank you, Louisa, so much for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you actually look angelic. Like, even like when you came on, I was like, you just have this beautiful glow about you. And
Oh,
it's so unusual because normally I would know people coming or I kind of know their story or their background. And I was looking at your Instagram and I know you've had a really powerful journey here. And I felt called to pull a card before the podcast. And I'm going to show the card. The card I pulled was Archangel Michael. And I seen from your Instagram that the angels have been a really big guiding force for you. So, do you want to bring us back to maybe how you started to connect with the angels or how that happened for you?
absolutely. And it's funny, but it's no coincidence that you
Yeah.
picked Archangel Michael because he is my guide and he is
Yeah.
my main guide and has been for a really long time. I would imagine all my life, but it only came into my awareness about 8 years ago. So the angels for me are just like I could talk about angels all day. I just
Me
love them.
too. Yeah.
Um, I always felt a connection to angels, like from a very young age. I had some spiritual experiences. My mom was very spiritual, and I'd say to her, I had this sensation of being hugged when I was in bed last night and there was nobody there. And she'd say, Oh, that was your guardian angel. And I
Wow.
was like, Okay. So it was
Oh,
really normal for me to feel supported by angels. So as I said, my mom was very spiritual. She would have talked about the angels a lot. She was very connected to Our Lady. And, I grew up in a very spiritual home, but none of this Reiki business or healing with angels or anything like that. Just a knowing that I was very protected.
okay.
So life was good. I grew up in Raheny in Dublin. And when I was just before I turned 21, I met my now husband. And between I was just thinking about this morning. We got married when I was 25. When I was 26, I had my first child. 28, I had my second child. And just before my 30th birthday, I had my third child. And I was told that I would have three children before I was 30. I
Okay.
just always knew it. So when she was born 10 days before my 30, that was just like, I knew, I didn't force it at all. And I was very lucky and blessed, but that's how it worked out. So I taught children with additional needs for 22 years. And then when I was 30, my mom got quite sick with depression. And unfortunately, she passed herself over in 2011. And that's when I began to really lean into my faith. But kind of sporadically, I'd go for the odd Reiki healing session and I feel the energy. I'd feel my mom, I'd feel angelic support. But that was kind of it. So moved through that process, obviously a few years of shock and grieving
Yeah.
my mom, learning to live with this grief and parent three little babies and all that, but we did really well and I supported myself really well and I dipped in and out to different therapies. And then in 2017, on the 27th of June, I brought my 11-year-old son for blood tests. He wasn't sick. My children had never been sick, any of them.
Yeah.
Like homeopathy for me all the way. So the GP didn't actually know Alex. He was 11 and
Wow.
she would have met him when he was a baby for his vaccines.
Yes. Yeah.
So I brought him and I was just like, I'm a little bit concerned. And I was by no means an anxious parent. I very rarely went to the doctor. So when she saw me, she knew she's obviously concerned, but she wasn't concerned. And she's like, I think he's fine. Bring him for blood tests over the next few weeks. And the next day I brought him for blood tests. And within an hour, we were told he had leukemia. So it was just like, whew, life turned upside down. So I remember sitting in Crumlin Hospital. Um, and thinking of my mom and
Mm.
how I wished my mom was there with me.
Yeah.
My mom was a wonderful support. My parents fostered children all my life. So when it came to nurturing and caring and looking after children, she would have been my go-to, you know. So I was sitting in the hospital and really feeling like I needed my mom, you know,
Yeah.
um, and really feeling like I had to look after myself. I had to be okay to mind this child and to mind my other children. And I just felt really guided to have a treatment. So I reached out to someone and I had a treatment within a day or two. And he actually, he was a bioenergy healer, but he talked about angels all the time. And he was telling me that I was surrounded by angels and Alex was surrounded by angels. And I just got so much comfort out of it. So I went back into the hospital that night and Alex was 11 at the time. And he took one look at me and said, "Mom, you look great."
Wow.
And I was like, "What?" I've been
Oh,
crying all day. But he saw something in me. He saw that my energy had shifted.
I have the truth bumps. Wow.
Yeah. So explained to him what I had done, and he said, "Can I do that?" And I said, "Absolutely." And that began his journey with energy healing.
Mm.
So a lot happened in those first early days. And one day, my mom's sister popped down to the house and she gave me an Archangel Michael stone. So it was a little clear stone with a white Archangel Michael in the center of it. My son now has it in his car. Like I've had it with me all the time.
Oh,
And when Alex started driving, I put it into his car. But that stone just started off the most beautiful relationship. I'm really lucky I live near the beach, so I'd go to the beach every day and cry and pray and talk to my mom and talk to the angels. But it was Archangel Michael that I really connected with. And every night since then, I'd say to him, "Wrap your blue cloak of protection around me,
yeah.
wrap it around the kids, wrap it around the house." And like I tell my clients to do that.
Mm.
And so many have come back and said that has made that one little thing has made such a huge difference to my life.
Oh, that is so powerful. And the fact he came up this morning. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. And actually, oh, I knew before you came on there was going to be so many synchronicities. And then you had said that the week that your son was diagnosed with leukemia was the week that David's drowning accident happened in Canada. And I feel the exact same thing that I'm only here because of Archangel Michael, that someone told me, put a blue cloak around you. And I was like, I don't have a clue what the hell I'm doing here. But it just did something.
I was the exact same. I
Yeah.
just felt comfort.
Yeah.
You know, at the time, I couldn't even say it to people because I thought they'd probably think she's just mad. She's just, searching for something. But it was such, like, I never doubted that Alex would be okay. Like, I never questioned whether he would
Right.
survive or not. Like, until very recently, because it's been a very long journey.
Mm.
But at that time, I had no doubt in my mind that Alex was going to be fine, you know.
Wow.
Um, So, and eventually I did train in healing with the angels, but in integrated energy therapy. And now
Yes.
I offer that as a service and I teach it.
Wow.
So, and I also teach Rahani celestial healing and practice Rahani, which is also very angelic. So, like, I actually brought Alex for healings for that first year of treatment. So the first year of treatment is very intense and all the horrible things you imagine with childhood cancer happen. But then they get rid of the leukemia and we went into maintenance treatment. And I went back to school then as a teacher. And I just said to one of my friends, I would love to be able to do for Alex what Pat does. And she was like, "Go and do a Reiki course." I was like, "No way, I'm not a healer." And she's like, "Louisa, go and do a course. It will change your life." And I literally did that day. I went down and booked onto Reiki level 1 just for Alex and myself, just so I could put my hands on him and I
Mm.
could help him or my daughters. It was just for me. And within like the first weekend, I walked out and I was like, "Oh my God, when can I come back for level 2?"
Oh,
So over the
wow.
course of the year, I did the 3 levels. I became a Reiki master. And then people started asking, could they come to me? And I was like, "No, I'm not treating real people."
Oh,
And how that has developed into my business, which I've left teaching. I
wow.
have my practice here, and I teach now. I've been on a break for a little while, but funnily enough, yesterday when Sinead reached out to me, I had just put a video on Instagram to say I was coming back to my practice after 6 months away.
Yeah. Wow. So it's nearly like energetically they were prepping you, and now you're on a podcast today, and wow,
Yeah.
it's all connected.
And
Um,
I trained last year in Soul Plan. So I'm also a Soul Plan reader. And when I had never heard about Soul Plan until last summer, but when I heard about it, it just sang to me so much because I'm always saying to my clients, I believe our souls have a plan. Like, I really believe Alex chose me. I
mm,
believe we made a contract at a soul level to come together and experience this. And I believe my husband chose me. Alex chose me, my daughter. We all chose to go on this journey with Alex. And my clients would often say to me, how can you be okay with all the stuff that's happened and you think your soul chose that?
mm,
And I'm like, yeah, I really do. And that gives me so much comfort to
yeah,
feel that this is my purpose.
yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
I totally resonate with what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah. So then when I trained in soul plan myself and started offering it to other people, the more I did them, the more I was like, oh my God. And everyone's sitting going, this is me you're talking about. How can this be so individual to me? And I'm like, because this is your soul plan.
Mm,
Lean into it. Get
yeah.
rid of who am I to do this or what am I doing wrong? And just lean into your soul's plan. It's a beautiful tool to have. But we've had a really tough few months this year.
Yeah.
And still, at my core, I believe this was the journey that I chose. And that's not to say it hasn't been horrendous and I haven't cried and my heart hasn't broken more times than I care to say. But at my core, I believe it's all happening for a reason. And I don't know what the future holds, but none of us do,
Yes. Yeah.
you
Oh,
know?
yeah. Oh, you were supposed to come on because you know what? I do say that all the time. And I know, when you say it, and I can hear when you say it with it's conviction, you feel it and you embody it. And I do feel that as well. I'm like, I know that time in my life with David, and like I chose that at a higher level, and he chose that. And then it's hard for someone then who's going through something, you don't just understand it in the mind, you just you get it, don't you, on a deeper level.
Yeah.
And it's hard, like now doing this all is, do you get what I'm saying, as in it's hard to explain how
Yeah.
to comprehend, like you can't comprehend it mentally really, can you?
No, can't. But I think the more of this kind of work that you do, the more you feel it in your body.
Yeah.
And then when you start to get comfort from it, you
Mm,
know, when I thought, if my soul chose this, who am I to walk around feeling sorry for myself? Because actually, I'm obviously learning from it. I'm obviously going to ascend because of it. And also, my favorite saying is from your mess comes your message. And if it wasn't for what I've been through, I wouldn't have been able to support so many people and also find my tribe.
yes, yeah.
Like the tribe that I found through this work has just been phenomenal. It's such a privilege and such a pleasure, to meet people and share this energy with them
Yeah.
with no judgment, with no expectations, just having an open heart and just sitting with people. And whether it's attuning them to Reiki or
Yeah.
IET or Rahani or holding space for them, it's just such a privilege to
Mm,
see someone come in feeling whatever they're feeling and walk out the door a little bit lighter. And like that's all we want, isn't it? Just to
yeah.
feel more
Yeah.
connected, a little bit lighter, and feel like I'm going to be okay, even through the really difficult stuff.
Yes, yeah.
So I really feel like it's such a gift, it's such a privilege. And I was meant to be here doing this work. I know that. So
Wow. Wow. So you'll probably resonate then, like on a deeper level. And I would speak about this a lot on the podcast about, the way like humanity now and the world we live in, like it's heavy. There's a lot going on. So, like your soul coming here and choosing and following your path. And bringing yourself back to your authenticity or to love, that's actually having such a bigger
Yes.
impact on humanity as a whole.
Absolutely, like the ripple effect. We will never know the
Yeah.
ripple effect of doing what we do. And even sitting here chatting to you on this podcast, we'll never know,
Mm,
that someone who will listen to this and go, oh my goodness, I can do this, or it is worth putting my faith in the angels. You just don't know what
yeah.
connections are going to be made. And like what this has brought to Alex's journey
Mm,
has just been phenomenal. Like he has had so many spiritual experiences. I
uh,
mean, like even recently. So Alex's journey was that he was diagnosed in 2017 and he was diagnosed with leukemia and ALS is we were basically told if you're going to get a cancer, get leukemia. It's the best one to treat, like 90 to 95% success rate. And so I was like, great, he's going to be fine. And through the journey, as I said, introduced him to Reiki, and he loved the Reiki. And he didn't know why he loved it. He just knew that he felt better afterwards. And
yeah.
he'd be really sick and say to me, can I go see Pat? And he just felt such a connection. And he looked like an angel lying on the plinth. He was just
Wow.
like, he's very angelic as well.
Yeah.
Um, so then we moved through the first 3.5 years of treatment. And the first year was very intense. The next 2.5 years weren't so intense. That he was back in school, his hair was back, life was a lot easier. We were in and out of treatment, but it was very, very mild. And he rang the bell on the 27th of October 2020.
Yeah.
Job done, okay. Unfortunately, 3 months later, he relapsed, which was a huge shock when he was
Yeah.
now 14. But I had trained in IET the previous year. So I'd said to him, okay, IET is going to support us. So Reiki had supported us through our first journey, and I really felt IET was where I was going with the second journey, and that's healing with the angels.
Yeah.
So we went back into the hospital for to start treatment again, which was really horrible because this time he knew what to expect. And the odds go down the more treatment you have. So now you're kind of going, okay, this has to work. So the second round of treatment was a bone marrow transplant. But we went back in the February to get the Hickman line back in to administer chemotherapy and all that. And he hated the thoughts of that. He hated that being on his physical body. It was just such a
Yeah.
reminder that he was sick and all that. So anyway, the night before the surgery, I took him down to a little room in the hospital to do a treatment on. They had a little treatment room where they do
Okay. Yeah.
reflexology. Beautiful plinth, beautiful energy in the room. And I did an IET session on him. And at the end of the session, I said to him, you're to connect with Archangel Gabriel and
Mm,
ask him to help you to release the distrust and to allow in trust. Okay. So he said, yeah, fine. So he went to bed that night and he woke up the next morning. He said, I prayed to Archangel Gabriel last night and I asked him to help me to trust that everything will be okay. So then this guy came into the room and he was the anesthetist and he was just a beautiful man, beautiful energy. I kind of was a bit dumbstruck. He was just such a lovely man. And he came in to Alex and he said, Alex, I'm your anesthetist and you can trust me. I'm going to look after you today. And my name's Gabriel.
wow. Wow. Oh, wow.
So, like, talk about the angels
Oh, wow. That is
giving us
amazing.
signs. Yeah, yeah. And he just looked at me and said, I'm going to be fine. And I was like, you are going to be fine. And he
Oh,
had the degree and he was fine. And he had the bone
yeah.
marrow transplant. And we did IET and Reiki on him all the time during that second relapse. And like he flew through the treatment. He was in and out of transplant in like 22 days or something, which was unheard of. And that was, I'm convinced, down to his faith. And he does a lot of complementary therapies. He's very into clean diet and all that. And he really supported himself. But the angels was just amazing. And then on the day he had his transplant, it was the 4th of June, 2021. So June is a month that a lot, he was diagnosed in June. He had his bone marrow transplant in June. And on the day he had his bone marrow transplant, I was like sleeping on the floor beside him. I was, you know, lying down for the night. And he just said, Mom. And I said, What? And he said, Nanny's here. And I said, I know, your nanny's always here. He said, No, no, she sat on the bed. And when she got up, I saw the indentation lift on the bed. And he said, I
Oh,
feel I'm going to be okay. So, like, this kid is really, you
oh,
know,
wow.
tuned.
Oh,
Yeah.
That is so amazing. And you can tell like it's given him such like faith and hope as well, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So he went through that bone marrow transplant and he did great for about 9 months. And then unfortunately, the following March 22, he relapsed again. And he had CAR T cell therapy in 2022. He was the first child ever to have this treatment in Ireland. And then after the CAR T cell therapy, I trained in Rahani Celestial Healing, went back to my work, and we got a good 2.5 years out of that treatment. We thought we were done. We thought he's cured, we'll move on. And he was going to do his leaving cert this year. And unfortunately, last December, he relapsed again for the fourth time.
Mm.
So it's been a journey.
Wow.
And he had the CAR T cell therapy again 12 weeks ago, I think now. And he's doing good, but his faith is he actually had an experience in CAR T this time with Mary Magdalene. And I had just started to connect with Mary Magdalene. He felt her beside him. And I was just like, I feel like that's Mary Magdalene. And I showed him an artist impression. He was like, that was her. She came in and she was kind of comforting him. And he looked and he saw her face and then she disappeared. And he said, I just felt like I was going to be okay.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. And there's like a correlation in what you're connecting with, isn't there? And then what's coming in for
Amazing.
him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like each time I never intend to train in another thing. I did Reiki and that was it. And then IET came along and I said, oh, I have to train that. And then Rahani and then Soul Plan came along. And I was thinking, what am I doing? I didn't want to do any more trainings. But when something sings to me, I just have to because I know that there's a much bigger purpose than me. It's not about me, you
Yeah.
know, it's
Wow.
never about
Yeah, isn't that it? And if you don't listen, I don't know, do you resonate with this? But sometimes when you don't listen to those calls, it's harder the more you're kind of connecting with the angels or that energy because it might make sense, but it's like, no, I have to follow this because if I don't, just other things will not work or
yeah, yeah. I just like there's so many things out there that I could train in, but I want to hold back. But when something really sings to me, I just get so excited about it. I'm like, I can't not do this. I'm obviously meant to have this and I might not know the reason. I
mm,
trained in EFT tapping and I don't do a lot of it, but when I do, it's for that person.
yeah.
So it's amazing how it all just comes into play whenever it's needed.
Yes, yeah. And I watched your son Alex on your Instagram. He did a talk that was only a few months ago.
Yeah,
In May.
he started his page when he relapsed this time, so it's only been since January.
Oh yeah, and even when he was talking, it was just so powerful. You could just feel an energy of hope and faith off him. And like how amazing is that like he's going through this, but he wants to also spread. It sounds like hope and
Yeah,
faith. Is that would that be important to him and to you?
absolutely. And he talked about so he created a little booklet in for Crumlin Hospital of all the charities that had supported us, and we kind of found out about them sporadically. We kept talking about writing a book, the two of us. And then he designed this little booklet. So it's all the charities that can support families. So he's already given something back if a family get a diagnosis, they get this little booklet. These are all the charities that can help you. They want you to reach out. And so many people have reached out and said, oh my God, thank you for creating that. That's given us such joy in the middle of a difficult journey. But he just wants to write a book. He wants to share his story big time.
Oh,
And when he relapsed in December, he said, I think it's time to do the Instagram page. And I thought, well, he's 18, he's an adult. And when Alex puts his mind to something, he does it. So he started it to share the journey, um, and to try and put a positive spin on something that was really very difficult,
yeah.
because this is a fourth journey through cancer. And I mean, I found it hard to talk about it.
Mm,
But then you see him talking and parents reaching out to him and saying, how did you cope with the steroid weeks? Or how did you feel about the transplant? We're going in to do that. What would you recommend? And then it's really empowering him because
yeah.
he feels like he's supporting them.
Yes.
So there's
Yeah.
this ripple effect. It's just endless.
Mm,
And he has a gift, I feel. He finds it very easy to speak to the camera. And as a 19-year-old young man,
Mm.
he shares some really difficult emotions.
Yeah.
So he's very emotionally mature, I feel.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
totally feel like he's here before and he's been completely guided by his
Yeah.
angels. But like he's almost fearless when it
Wow.
comes to talking about mental health and feeling scared and feeling sad and going for counseling, a lot of things that young guys find it hard to talk about. So I feel like he's a bit of a beacon of light for his generation.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, as you're talking, it's so funny because I just keep hearing like an angel, and you know the way, like, and I fully do believe that, like, we have angels supporting us, but people come to earth and they hold this angelic energy, and they often go through things that are really quite difficult or challenging. And that's as
Yeah.
you were talking, I was like, just like yourself, like an earth angel here to like spread that light and that hope.
Yeah, 100%. Um, and he really does it effortlessly, and he really loves to impact people. He loves to share his story, but he really loves to impact other kids that are going through it. Like he feels things very deeply. I
Yeah.
remember, when he was 11 and going through treatment, and I might meet another parent in the parents' room and have a chat with him and come back down to Alex, and he'd be like, "Where did you go for the last half an hour?" And I might say, I was talking to another daddy and his little boy is 3 and he has leukemia. And Alex would be so upset for the
Oh,
3-year-old. He'd be
wow.
saying, "Mom, this is so hard. And I'm 11. I can't imagine a 3-year-old." So he has such empathy for other kids that are going through this. It's just amazing. He was never a victim. I
Wow.
don't think he ever once said, "Why me?"
That is amazing. That's
Yeah,
like, wow.
yeah, yeah. He knows, I think, at a very deep level, that this was all planned. It was all part of his plan.
Wow. And you know what? Maybe we were supposed to connect because that book, when you spoke about the book, I was like, oh my goodness, like maybe because at the time, like I wrote a book and I got a message. It was like, you need to write a book. And I was like, I know. And in school, I was absolutely shocking at English. Like, I'd be the last person in the class who was going to write a book. And I remember just kind of just letting go. And I like as if I nearly let my energy be like, okay, if I'm supposed to write a book, send
Yeah,
me who, what, where, when. And
yeah.
literally within, I think it was less than 18 months, a book
Wow,
in my hands.
wow. Because I
So
feel like I'm up to write a book, but like that, I'm like, sure, I wasn't. I was no A student in school,
yeah,
and I wouldn't know where to begin. And
yeah.
he feels like he's to write a book. So
Oh yeah, and you know how energy like is like energy. I like it's hard to explain this, but like say like as in we meet people and like when you're talking there, like there's so much correlation. I did my Reiki, then I did Rahani. I trained in EFT. We've actually trained in a lot of the same stuff. And like sometimes we
absolutely.
meet people and then like I've no doubt actually that you'll be like, yeah, we've written a book or I really do.
Yeah, yeah. I do think it's there, it's in the pipeline, but like that, I'm trying to let it go
Yeah, and
and
it will
surrender
come.
to the divine timing.
Yes.
And I feel like so many times I've thought the journey was over. I know the journey's
Yeah.
never over. We're
Yes.
healing the day we die. But
Yeah.
so many times I thought, oh, maybe this is the time to write the book. And
Mm,
then we get hit with another
yeah.
whatever relapse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, maybe there's more to the story than
Mm,
I thought.
yeah.
And with each relapse, we've learned so much more.
Mm,
And
yeah.
we've evolved so much more, and our energies have shifted so much more. And through the last experience, we've gone from being in a children's hospital for 7 years, and that experience is very soft and
Yeah.
gentle and very special. And then last year we moved to adult services. So he relapsed in adult services, which was a different story. And so I had a treatment one day, a Reiki treatment, and I didn't say anything, but I was feeling like, why are hospitals so much in my energy field? Like this relapse, I was so exhausted. I was so brokenhearted. They had told us in December that there was no more treatment.
Mm,
And then I was like, no, I'm not accepting that. I'm not accepting that.
yeah.
And then they re-gifted him the CAR T cell therapy a second time. They don't normally do that, but they had taken double the amount of cells 2.5 years ago and they were frozen. So there happened to be a bag ready that had already been genetically modified. So they didn't have to do the first part of the treatment. It's very expensive treatment. Not for us, but for the HSE.
Yeah.
So it comes into it from their point of view. But I was like, this is not the end of the road for him. I knew it wasn't. So when we were re-gifted that, I was like, okay, great. But also in my body, I was so tired from being in
Yeah.
hospitals and sleep, worrying and worrying about my girls at home and my husband and all the other normal things, you know. And I went for this treatment, and this Reiki therapist said to me, "You're meant to be in that hospital." And I was like, "What?" And she said, "Your light is needed in that hospital at the moment." So she said, as you walk those corridors, visualize your light being left on the corridor. And every time you open a door, the next person that touches that door, they're sharing with your light. And it was such a beautiful way for me to kind of find gratitude in this
Yes.
journey that I
Mm,
was really worn out physically from, you know.
yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I was having to dig really, really
Mm,
deep. I was like,
yeah.
Archangel Michael, ma'am, come on, you
Yeah.
know, at what
Yeah.
point is enough enough? But when she said that to me, I thought, I've got to just let it go. I've got to surrender and just keep saying thank you and keep trusting that and I visualized two angels walking beside me all the time. And I was like, just let them carry you. And it's hard being in the hospital, but you know what? We get to do this. I
Wow.
get to be in the hospital with my son. I
Mm,
know lots of families who don't get to be with their children and would give anything to be
mm,
walking those corridors that I was feeling sorry for myself walking in, you know. But when she said that to me, I just thought, I'm where I'm meant to be.
wow. That's so powerful because as you said, like what you're going through is really difficult and feeling all those feelings and then having that presence of the energy and just even listening to your gratitude, like you're so inspiring because
Thank
nobody
you.
could imagine what it's like being in your
No,
place.
no. And the longer the journey becomes, the less people we have who do understand.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know, because a lot of kids won't have survived to the point
Mm,
that Alex has.
yeah.
So you have to look at that and go, oh my God, how lucky are we? 8 years down the line, he's still here. He's
Mm,
still managing to support himself. He's still managing to keep himself healthy. Like he's really well at the moment, you know. And nothing is promised, nothing is guaranteed, but we get to do this, you
mm,
know.
yeah.
So and it's not easy to think like that. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that it is. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that I don't have my days where I think this is just crap and why me? And you know, why do we keep getting things thrown at us? But at the end of the day, we're all still here.
Mm, yes. Yeah.
We have each other. And you know, as long as we have each other, we're doing okay.
Wow. Well, you definitely like even when you're talking, there's honestly such a glow. Do people say that to
Sometimes, yeah.
you?
I have a sheepskin rug thing that I'd have on the back of my chair, and people will often mess with me and say, "Are they angel wings?" And I'm like, "No, that's not the intention with the sheepskin rug, but sometimes it looks like angel wings on the back
Yeah.
of it." But I do
No.
feel like I'm just surrounded by the angels.
Yeah, and it seems like there's such a lovely bond between you and it's your family, like two other girls, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Lauren is 20 and Ava is 17. And I'm so lucky. Again, I mean, I've so much to be grateful for, you know. I mean, Alex has been, when I say a pleasure, like he has made this journey so easy.
Yeah.
He's just so kind. He's so gracious. He's so accepting. You know, if he's having a bad day, he'll have a bad day. He won't complain about it. He'll just be in it. And the next day, he'll be like, oh, I feel great again. I'm so grateful that I don't feel as bad as I did yesterday. And I'm like, what? Like, it's so inspiring, you know? And equally, his sisters have been so inspiring. Like,
Mm,
they've grown up watching their brother. And they've also had to sacrifice an awful lot of time with me and with their dad when we've been living in hospitals and passing ships and everything, you know. And thank God we're very happily married and we've been able to support each other, you know. There's a lot of
yes.
things come into play when you have so much trauma going on all the time. So I look at my three kids and I think, my God, I'm so lucky to have these three kids, you know. They've never given me, you know, a minute's trouble. They're
Mm,
just they're they're all good, kind kids. And despite everything they've been through, I just feel that their souls chose it too, and they're going to use it.
Yeah.
They will propel other people forward because of their experience. They can't, but
Mm,
can't you can't witness that for so many years and move through all that shock and all that trauma and not use it in some way, you
yeah.
know. So I think they all have pretty special journeys to go on, you
Uh,
know. Funny, actually, yesterday I had put up to say that I was coming back to work in September, and Alex had been for a counselling session. And when he came back from the counselling session, I said to him, how was it? And he said, oh man, it was so good. He was like, I need to move on. I can't be waiting for the all clear. I want to do a course, and I want to do maybe bioenergy healing or hypnotherapy or something like that. I just want to do some taster courses and see where I'm being led. And I said, do you want to think about anything else, like what your friends might be doing? He was like, no, this is my path. I know it has to be this. And he was really like
oh,
excited. He said, my counselor said I need to let go of leukemia. It's like it's almost his identity because he's had it for so long. He's like, I think I'm ready to let it go now. And I want to absorb myself in other things. And I want to do things like what you do. I just thought, wow, imagine him as a healer. Like,
oh,
so that's what he's thinking. That's the road that he'd like to go down.
oh, that's amazing. He just sounds amazing. Even like Onran, when you said he had that bad day and he let
Yeah.
himself feel it, and then the next day he gave himself permission to feel it, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm feeling better today." Like that is so powerful and such a powerful message for everyone in this world, but
Yeah.
especially like men and teenagers and young boys. Like really important. Like
Yeah, yeah, he's very inspirational, and like I'd love a little glimpse into the future to see, what
yeah,
he's done. But I know he's going to be very inspirational. I feel he's going to share his story in really big ways,
yeah.
and really, and maybe he often feels his purpose is to even open the door to therapies that
Mm,
kids his age might be aware of, like
yeah.
craniosacral therapy or healing with angels, or that age group even go for these therapies or go to counseling or, explore a clean diet, look after what goes into your body.
Mm,
Like there's so much, like he
yeah.
hasn't really been to school for the last 6 years, but he has learned so
Yeah.
much.
But sounds like he's been in art school. Do you know,
Art
like we
school.
think of school, but I personally think that's when you learn. And isn't that your message? Find your
Yes.
message in the mess.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And it's true.
Mm,
I mean, when you think about most people who, especially work in the industry that we work in, no one just wakes up one day and says, I think I'll do a Reiki course.
no, yeah, no.
We're brought to it for a very special reason, So, and it's often trauma that brings people to these things
Yeah.
and brings them so much peace
Mm,
and acceptance and joy. And then whether they feel to share it just for themselves or for their family or to go out and share it with the world, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
That energy in the world is just, it's so healing. I want to like scream it from the rooftops to
yeah,
everybody, and the way some people look at you and go, what's that thing you do? And
yeah.
it's just not their thing, and that's fine.
Mm.
But I really want it to be everybody's thing.
I know, but I bet people who you might know who it's not their thing, but I bet they can see it within you, can they?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people say to me, I'd love to have your faith. I'd love to love this thing that you love so much. It just doesn't resonate. I'm like, that's perfect. It might never resonate in this lifetime for them,
Yeah.
or it might resonate in 10 years' time, but I just think if you feel called to it, you know,
Mm,
follow, as you
yeah.
said, follow that instinct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it can be anything because nobody can take, in the world we live in, anything can happen, but your faith and your hope, nobody can take that from you.
Yeah. And they are priceless.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, like a glimmer, like a little light. I know for me, when I got into it first, it felt like a tiny little flicker. And then it just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now it just like yourself, I'm like, no, I want to give hope to others and inspire others because the world we live in, you can hear, oh, this is hard or this is going on or things happen,
Yeah.
and like our soul, and earth school, it's often within that we learn. But if we can keep our light of hope or a light of faith on, like, just magical things can happen, can't they?
Absolutely. And it's all about love, isn't it? It's all just,
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's pure love, you know. And you're so inspirational what you've done on your journey and how you're honoring David and
Yeah.
moving through this life. It would have been it's so it can be easy to ignore
Yeah.
those things and
Yeah.
stay in the misery
Mm.
and in the why me. But as you said, when you follow that first little seed and this
Mm.
light sparks, and then you open a door and then
Yeah.
another door, and it's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm so
Yeah.
glad I took that first step.
Yes. Oh, well, I know, like anyone listening to this, you are going to give them so much hope and inspiration. And hopefully, who knows, we might get Alex on because he just sounds so amazing.
He would be delighted to chat to you. I know he would.
Oh, I would be delighted to chat to him. So, what is so say now for anyone listening and your final takeaway, like what is your anything for someone who's listening who might be going through something really difficult and they just need that bit of hope or inspiration or faith? What would your message be for them?
I think just really pause
Mm.
and stop and connect with your heart. And,
Yeah.
ask yourself, what do I need?
Mm.
It's not selfish, it's self-love. And I know it's a bit of a cliche that you can't pour from an empty cup, but you really can't pour from an empty cup. You need to fill that cup back up. So take a little bit of time to love yourself. If treatments are your thing, go and have a treatment. Try one or try two and see
Yeah.
where that little seed takes you to. And if you can take a day and go and do a course and really surround yourself with like-minded people, just love yourself. And if you've been given a challenge, you've been given it because you can cope with it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's also okay to ask for support. We all need support in those times, but we can do really hard things. It's not easy, but we can do them.
Oh, you're like that is so, so, so powerful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you're just glowing. I'm going to actually put the video on YouTube so anyone who's watching this will just see
I
what I see.
would have done
But
my makeup if I'd known
yeah,
that.
no, you look amazing. But
Thank
if
you.
someone has listened to this and they're like, I need to work with Louisa, because I do believe that you're called to people and you're supposed to work with them. How can someone like work with you, or do you have any workshops coming up later on in the year or
So,
trainings?
yeah, well, as I said, I teach Reiki, Rahani, and IET, and then I do those treatments as well as EFT tapping and soul plan readings online, in person. My website is Louisa McEleney Wellbeing, and my Instagram, which is where I'm updating all the time, is Louisa McEleney Wellbeing. So if you feel like, your soul is calling you to me, please reach out. I'd be more than happy to connect with whoever feels drawn to me.
Yeah, and I will share all of those details and
Thank
make
you so
sure
much.
that the right people reach you. But thank you so, so,
And
so
it's so
much.
lovely to meet you. I feel like we could just chat for hours.
Oh, I feel like we could, and I just think what an example of trust and like faith, and like even like Archangel Michael coming in, and it's like no, the right people are put on your path at the right time.
Absolutely. And we just have to surrender, don't we? And trust that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for having
Thank
me. It's
you,
been so
thank
lovely.
you.
So
It was
lovely.
amazing. Thank you.